And welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Lionwei USB-C hub. It's the 13-in-1 version. In another video we took a look at the 11-in-1. I'm not sure if that's going to be coming out before or after this. And let's go ahead and open it up. So I found myself needing these tubs for my office. Ooh, that's pretty nice. I think that's metal. It feels cold to the touch, which is why I think it's metal. Let's see, we got two HDMI ports. I believe these are 4K 60 hertz capable. Well, that's what it's saying right there. So that's good to go. HDMI 4K 30 hertz. Oh, HDMI 1 is 4K 60 hertz. So we got HDMI 1 and HDMI 2. They do have different capabilities, so make sure you plug in appropriately. We got a 10 gig USB 3 port. Two USB-Cs, which I believe are 10 gigabyte capable. Oh, three USB-As, which are 5 gig. 1, 2, 3. And then one USB-A that is USB 2 speed, or 2. And USB 2 speeds. And we got USB-A, that's 10 gig. That's going to be the orange one. And we got the USB-Cs. One of them is power delivery. Well, punani's, I don't know which one it is. Well, based on the box here, it looks like both are 10 gig speeds and 100 watt. It's got supports 100 watt power in. I don't see that labeled. DisplayPort, 1 gig Ethernet, and we got the headphone adapter if you need that. So overall, it looks fairly capable. So I'm going to be loading it up with 1, 2, 3 external SSD-based hard drives and seeing what kind of speed drop I get as I load this thing up to check its overall efficiency. I will need all the ports, but in general, most of my stuff are like mouse and keyboard and like spaceball type stuff. So, and then I need a double display, and one of my monitors is my monitors are a little bit old, so I do need like either VGA or DisplayPort, and then I have an adapter to that, to HDMI to VGA. So let's go ahead and test this thing out and see how well it does. Welcome to my multi-port series, where I'm going to be taking a look at a bunch of different hubs. I found myself needing a different one for my home office environment for when I work from home. So I'm going to be taking a look at basically this grouping to see which one best suits my need, if any of them. And I hope you stay tuned and enjoy. Speed test directly plugged in. And this SSD is the Sabarinth Rocket Nano 1 terabyte. And this is the result. Now let's check it with some of the USB devices. Alright, here's the Lionwei 13-in-1. We got 1, 2, 3 hard drives hooked up. We got 1 and 2 monitors, DisplayPort and HDMI. Now my displays are basically 1080p, ignore that one, and this one is a little bit under 1080p. It's like 1050 resolution, 16 by 10, I do believe. So it's able to do 2 monitor output, which is important for my workflow. And now we're going to do a quick test with a Crystal Disk Mark and check to see it's able to power and drive all 3 SSDs simultaneously. Let's go to Task Manager. Let's go to the SSDs. You can see all 3 are loaded up simultaneously, and they do have write speeds. That does indicate that they are all functioning. Now, just because it can power 3 SSDs doesn't mean you can plug in more, or you should actually run it with 3 all the time, because that does cause extra strain on the chips inside of a power delivery. to make sure it's running within spec. So that is just a note, but if you're just running it with like your mouse, your keyboard, some other USB peripheral, you're driving monitors. Monitors don't actually really draw power because the monitors are powered themselves, but the other device is hooked up. But if you're going to be using it long term, you may want to be using it with power delivery functionality. So that way the hub itself will be powered and puts less strain on your computer's plugs. Well, the speeds are definitely in line with what I would expect with driving 3 SSDs simultaneously. So one of them is a SATA-based one, which would top out at like 600 megabytes per second. The other two are NVMe, full 10 gig speed, so that would be 1,000 megabytes per second. So if we add up 331, 277, and 199, that gets us approximately where we want to be. So like 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, around 800. Yep, that's about right. So that is definitely great to see. So one note about this is that it doesn't appear to have power delivery USB-C on it. Well, you just missed it off camera, but it just completely disconnected everything running on it, including my monitors. Again, ignore the back one, that is a separate machine. So that's not particularly good to see. So definitely I did overpower it. Give me a second. Okay, so after working on this for a couple minutes and unplugging and replugging it in, it definitely had connection issues. So, I just plugged in the SSD and now it's completely having a heart attack. So we're going to unplug the SSD. And this flashing is simply because it's trying to re-establish connection with the monitors. So now the monitors are connected again, but I don't have any SSDs hooked up to it. Okay, it's not plugged in. Plugged in one. Boom. I mean, I'm doing this live so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So now if I remove, this is really hard to do one-handed. All right, I probably got to the wiggle. There we go. I unplugged one monitor. Now we're working just fine. So what do I think is going on? Well, it could be that my initial test just actually like broke the device and completely, well, we're still seeing issues. Overwhelmed it, and now it's not going to function properly, which is very unfortunate. We're just getting mirrored, which isn't what I want, because that's easier to drive. It's also possible that it actually just isn't as capable as they advertise. This is the limitation with my knowledge, where I don't know specifically how to test that. Oh, my monitor is having issues. So I'm going to just unplug things. So what do I think about this device? Well, on paper, it looks brilliant. In practice, I'm sorry, I'm unplugging it while we're talking. And on paper, it's not that great. And it comes down to that connection that I was having. So they should design a device that can be plugged into basically any USB port and have it function as advertised, which means what actually uses 10 gig speeds? SSDs, specifically NVMe SSDs. So what does that mean? It needs to be able to power, in my opinion, at least one, preferably two. Why does the focus look a little weird? Anyways, it should be able to power at least one, preferably two SSDs that don't require any external power, and most of them don't. I actually don't know of any that do. Plus driving two monitors and an Ethernet port. I'm not even driving an Ethernet Ethernet port. This advertises being able to run at least 2 monitors. It has 3 ports. It is able to drive 2 monitors and no USB devices, or power USB devices and no monitors. That is a problem because they use different inputs inside the USB device, meaning in DisplayPort alt mode, so my laptop has actually got Thunderbolt built into it, which has full functionality of USB-C with DisplayPort alt mode and everything like that. So it should be able to drive monitor plus all the data and everything like that, no problem, because they're separate. So you can drive data and USB over one plug kind of separately, and the hub just takes both inputs and then organizes it. But it's not doing it very well. So unfortunately, I'm going to say that this isn't it. On paper, this really looked like the perfect one, other than the fact that it was RJ 45 1000, so standard gig speeds. I would have rather it been 2.5. So that's unfortunate. This was looking like the one because of its port selection. Well, that ends this video on a downer. Thank you for joining me on this journey for the Lionwei, I don't know if that's an L or an I, 13-in-1 USB-C hub. Please subscribe for more content, and I hope to see you next time here on Computer Tech and More.